guy told the lady or the lady told the guy, I wouldn't piss down your throat if your guts were on fire. And I like that was like one of the coolest phrases I ever heard. But to have to hate somebody that much to tell them that.
The Three RoOs podcast. Welcome to the Three RoOs podcast. I'm Tyler with the co-host Rich and Seth. Today we have one of my fraternity brothers again, Dan. I think that's the fifth fraternity brother so far. Running out of them, I think, at this point. But similar story. Met Dan in 2012, the fall of 2012. So been pretty good friends since. Try to get together pretty frequently. Dan, I don't know if you want to say a few words.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've known each other for 12-ish years. Now the time goes by really quickly. I was thinking about this the other day. For me, just turning 30 last year. It's been as many years since I started high school or more since I started my life. You guys are at the point where it's almost been more time since you started, like since college started until the beginning of your life. But yeah, just grew up in New Jersey, kind of stayed close by, went to school at Rutgers. I've been working here ever since, Jersey guy through and through, and just pretty laid back, hang out with the guys. Not too much going on for me, but happy to be on with you guys.
Yep. So you're a Jets fan, right? Like Seth?
Of course. We can commiserate, Seth.
9-8 in the playoffs this year. I'm calling it. Rodgers is coming back Christmas Eve against the Commanders. Got that. Commanders. And he's gonna bring him the rest of the way to the playoffs. I'm telling you.
Was he practicing the other day?
He's been throwing the ball. I think a lot more of it, and Dan, feel free to tell me your thoughts on it. I think a lot of this he'll come back before the end of the year. Is there a point to it? Who knows? Because you're either going to be good enough to be in the playoffs, so why break a good thing, or you're not, so why risk the next year? But the throws and whatnot, he's even said, he's like, yeah, I can't even protect myself yet. I still limp. Like, you can't expect me on a football field, guys that are 300 pounds coming after you right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that he's doing all of that, but he cares so much about attention that I think it's just for attention, honestly, just to get out there and be like, you know what, Travis Kelce's getting too much shine right now. I gotta bring the spotlight back on me or something. But the most Jets thing would be he somehow comes back, a modern medicine miracle, and then he somehow tears his Achilles again because it's not fully
either that, I'll one up that. It could be that tears the Achilles again, threatening next season, or he comes back. They're primed. They make the playoffs. He comes back and they lose the first playoff game because of like an interception or something. That would be the most Jets thing.
That's a good call.
I was gonna say make the playoffs and get blown out the first round or something.
Yep.
The thing that terrifies me is still the last game of the season. They're playing the Patriots. The Patriots are going to suck, but somehow they're going to lose that game and not make the playoffs because that's just how it goes.
Did I see 12, 14, something like that, straight losses to the Patriots?
What, really?
Yeah, no, they haven't beaten the Patriots in like 6 or 7 years. It's ridiculous. You think about it. Remember, they haven't made the playoffs in 12 years at this point, I think.
Yeah.
Longest stretch in all 4 major sports. That's
since the early Sanchez years.
I believe they made it once after Sanchez. No, I believe it was Sanchez because 12 years ago would have been 10. So yeah, it was Sanchez.
The last time they beat the Patriots was when we were in college. It was 2015.
Yeah. So it's been 7 years since that. So twice a year, you do the math, 7 years. It's painful, man. Belichick has possibly the worst team he's ever had in his football career. And yeah, he still can beat the Jets. That's like, he can go to bed happy because he can beat the Jets. It's terrible.
I can't believe they haven't beaten the last couple of years.
Everybody can beat the Patriots the last couple of years.
Can you really not believe it? Because it's kind of how they always are.
Dan, let me tell you, it's really interesting. So I live in Cleveland now, so naturally I'm surrounded by Browns fans. And when Rodgers went down, they all tried to tell me how difficult it is being a Browns fan. And I looked at them all in the face and laughed. I just had to laugh at them. I was like, I get it. You guys have never had a Super Bowl, but you've also only been a franchise for like 20 years. So that doesn't really count. Also, you guys have guys like Myles Garrett. You made the playoffs 2 years ago. Like, I get it. The Browns aren't great, but I think that I don't think you understand just how bad it is being a Jets fan.
It's a unique bunch. It's probably the Jets, the Lions, the Browns. I mean, those are probably
That might
the
be it.
ones. That might be it. I
That
mean,
might
the,
be it.
the thing that sucks about the Rodgers injury, honestly, is just this was the first year that they might actually play some fun games. They have been so bad offensively. I was looking this up. They've had one 4,000-yard passer, and it was 50 years ago.
Yep.
So they have not had like an above-average quarterback basically ever. I think the Texans have been a team for 20 years, and they've had like 5 seasons where guys have done that, and the Jets haven't done it.
I mean, think about where they are right now. Okay, they're 4-3. Even without Rodgers, they could be. I mean, they're a pass interference call away from potentially being 5-2. So you put Rodgers back in that, you're talking easily 6-1, maybe even 7-0 right now. I mean, the reason they lost the games, Zach
They just
Wilson
handled
fumbled.
the fucking Giants.
Oh my God. Did you
Gotta
guys
talk
watch
about-
that game?
That
I
was
watched
the
like the
most
first 3
painful-
quarters.
That
So
was
boring.
You lasted that long. You lasted 3 quarters. Jesus, at halftime, I was like, I can't do this anymore. We got Tommy touchdowns in for the Giants versus the 7th offensive lineman for the Jet. Like, this is just painful to watch.
Could there have been a funnier name than Tommy DeVito just coming in to play quarterback? Like the most Jersey Italian
it's so
sounding guy of
true.
all
Dude,
time.
he grew up right down the street from the Meadowlands. He actually wasn't a bad college quarterback. He played 2 years at Syracuse, I think. And then unfortunately, Syracuse's offense doesn't allow you to throw more than 10 yards. And so he kind of was reminiscent. I don't know if you guys remember the Titans, how Sunshine could throw the ball a mile, but he couldn't pitch it 10 feet. That was kind of Tommy DeVito's issue in college, was he could throw the ball a mile. Gorgeous. Couldn't throw the ball 10 feet. So they shipped him off. He transferred out to Illinois and then brought Illinois its first 10-win season in like 30 years or something like that, and then got drafted by the Giants. So good on him, man. Not great that he now has that legendary stat of -9 passing yards.
God.
Yeah, I'd still rather be a Giants fan than a Jets fan, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's not even
Super
close.
Bowls recently.
Yeah, because of the quarterback. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Zach
Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, it's like I want to see him do well, right? So like I've actually been cheering more for the Giants. Then I was like, I mean, look, they're our younger brother. Like I'm always gonna cheer for the little brother. And somebody found that like so hilarious. But I think that's how I'll always see the Jets as like the little brother of the Giants. Even if they won the Super Bowl, even if they beat us like nonstop, it's just our little brother. You know what I mean?
That's how the dynamics of the teams are. There's always in these New York sports, it's always one dominant team and then there's a little brother. And you would need a run of like 20 plus years of being like the Patriots or somebody like that in order to supplant.
Yeah,
It's hilarious too, because like it doesn't like look, the Yankees have not been stellar at baseball
terrible.
in the past 15 years. I mean, not saying the Mets have, but the Mets have made a World Series in the past 10 years. The Mets have done decently outside of this past year over the last few years, but they're still and always will be the little brother. It's the same mentality, right? It's interesting.
Yeah. I think with the Jets though, it's because they also played. I mean, for most of our lives, I feel. I mean, time's a blur, so maybe I'm wrong on this, but I feel like for most of our lives, they played at Giant Stadium.
I mean, they played at the Meadowlands. I believe it was called the Meadowlands Complex.
Giant Stadium.
Yeah, you can call it what you want to call it, but I believe it was called the Meadowlands Complex.
It's Giant Stadium. Everyone called it Giant Stadium.
Dan, you got the question here that
it's
does
in the
the
Meadowlands.
success of your favorite team impact how much you care? And
I thought about in the context of us in football because I know what teams you guys like. Seth and I are the losers. Rizzy's kind of in the middle, and then Tyler, your team has won every year. So, do you care at all about football anymore?
I don't know. Yeah, I think I got spoiled, and then
Yeah,
honestly, the first year after Brady left, I was just like, I would, have a couple beers watching the football game and not like mutter to Amanda how much of a traitor Tom Brady was. And I wanted him to like retire a Patriot. So
I can see that.
that and then the Mookie Betts trade, I think, or I don't know if they traded
Ooh,
him
the
or
Mookie Betts trade was tough on the city of Boston.
I think those two right near the same time like burned me so bad that I'm like, I don't give a fuck about sports anymore. Fuck it.
Do you think they'll like? Because I feel like as a Yankees fan, right? Like you're spoiled as a kid, and then now it actually frustrates me even more that they're like so bad. Because like I mean, people shit on me all the time for this, but they're like, "Oh, dude, come on, get over it. Like you shouldn't be mad because you won so many times, and like I don't know who you think you are." And I'm like, "We're the Yankees. Like there's so much like history there, and the pinstripes mean something. And it's the Yankees. If of any, the only other team in sports that I could say would be comparable from a legacy perspective would be like a Real Madrid, right? And so it's like it's asinine to me that they're so bad. So I don't know. I guess because you're saying like you got lucky earlier on, so it doesn't really matter to you. Like I feel like for me, it's the opposite. I like demand so much more of the team, even though I'm not on it.
I mean, but that is that. So the question though, and I'll throw this back towards Dan because Jets fans, knowing Jets fans, we know how to commiserate. We know how to be miserable human beings. Like as a Jets and a Yankee fan, yes, I saw the success of the Yankees, but now it's just like, are you mad because a team was good and now they're not good and you expect them to be good? Or do you just always want your team to win? Like I always want the Jets to win. I'm always mad when the Jets lose, and I've never really seen them win. So like, it's not like I've been.
You're just always
right?
mad.
Like,
Maybe part of it is you just don't know what to do if they were good, right? If they had a long stretch of being good at a certain point, I would just be satisfied. It's almost like chasing a high of, oh, if they were like this team and consistently crushed it at a certain point, you kind of realize they peak. Like for you, Tyler, the Patriots are never doing that again. It's the
No.
peak
Oh,
of your
no.
fandom, so you might as well just quit while you're ahead. We're like a Yankees fan. I grew up a Yankees fan too, and that was a peak. They're not hitting that again. So at a
That
certain
team
point, it's like,
too.
why am I going to get disappointed?
they
Yeah,
never
the
will.
personalities back then too, like the Jeters, the Andy Pettits, like all those guys, Rivera, all those guys on the team. It's like, how do you get that level of
You won't.
gravitas in your player? Yeah, you can't. Are
For
you
baseball,
a
especially, baseball has changed the way things are set up in baseball, the way contracts are set up, free agencies set up, all that is set up. Baseball, I mean, I believe, and I have to double check it, but I am almost positive the Yankees actually were the last team to repeat as World Series champions. I'm
sure.
not 100% on that, but I believe they were back in the early 2000s. It is not easy to do. They might not have been. I know that in football, the Patriots were the last team to go back to back. No team has gone back to back since the Patriots did it.
0304.
yeah?
Yes, I believe.
Tampa Bay came close though, didn't they?
Tampa Bay didn't make it out of the round of the playoffs.
For the second year, okay.
You're thinking of the Seahawks almost did it, and then
Wait, what about
we all know what happened there.
Kansas City came. They
No,
didn't-
they
did
lost to
go back?
they lost to the Bengals that year.
It was the
And then
Yankees, you're right. 98
Yeah.
through 2000, 3 years
Yeah.
in a row.
I mean,
Are you-
it's so weird to think about. Like everybody wants their team to be on top every year, but we're talking 20 plus years in multiple sports without a back-to-back champion. Like
Yeah.
it's not that easy.
Are
I feel like-
you a Devils fan, Dan?
I'm not a big hockey guy,
okay.
honestly. My dad loves the Rangers. He grew up being a Rangers fan, going to the games. He was at that iconic game. I don't know if you've seen the footage like of guys like fighting the fans in the stands. He
Oh.
basically like
Yeah, he was there.
yeah, the Bruins guys like were coming down the line and a fan clotheslined them, and he was like, everyone just rushed in the stands. It was the greatest thing of all time.
My first. I mean, look, the Devils are our only team now, right? So I feel
They
like,
are.
yeah, which is. I mean, the Nets. Not that they were like great.
Jason
when they
Kidd,
had,
man.
but Jason Kidd, that era was legit. But then they moved on. But as far as like Rangers, like your dad's generation, I could see it. I guess even maybe with our generation, like the Devils weren't around till what 82. So like if you're older, you're obviously the Rangers are the closest team. They're right there. And if you're a Rangers fan, you're probably gonna raise your kid to be a Rangers fan too. So like I kind of get that, but I mean that's always like the point of contention too within Jersey is, like, are you there's also like a lot of people from South Jersey are Flyers fans.
Well, South
Pure,
Jersey's
pure
close
trash.
to
Pure
Philly, aren't
trash.
they?
Losers.
Yeah, that'd be the closest city.
Let me ask you this, Dan. Being a Jersey and Rich, you can chime in too, and I guess Tyler, you now live there, so
Yeah, I'm a Jersey guy now.
yeah, okay, sure. Um, we talked about like the New York sports teams being big brother, little brother. Is New Jersey just the little brother of New York? Is that just like is that a thing?
Conjoined
You
twins.
guys don't
Conjoined
have any,
twins, I'd
listen,
say.
you guys don't have any sports teams, right? Because all your
Yeah.
sports teams are close enough to either Philly or New York City that they've shifted away. So is New Jersey kind of New York's little brother? Is that how that works?
Conjoined twins, not little brother. I think don't this. I don't know why. Again, this shouldn't annoy me.
I mean, and I didn't want to, no, and I honestly, like, I didn't want to say that like it was like being a troll, like making fun of it. But you think about it, like, it's not like New Jersey never had professional sports team, but when you have the biggest sports market in the country on, right next door to you, what do you expect? I'm shocked that the Devils are still they're probably still only the Devils because the Islanders are still in New York, right?
But like, why you're trying to tell me like the Giants or the Jets, we couldn't get one of them? They both play in New Jersey.
Yeah, but they're New York.
The
They've
Jets
always been
practice
New
in
York.
New Jersey. The Giants
Right.
practice in New Jersey.
That's fine, but they've always been New York. Why?
Why?
Because
I
New
think
York's the big market.
isn't it just that you basically divide Jersey in half, and the northern half is an extension of New York, and the southern half is an extension of Philly?
So you're
Probably
That's
two
how the
is.
culture's
so you're
established,
two
right?
What's our city? Newark? I don't think
Yeah,
we want to
right.
claim that. Camden? You could have that. We should auction that off
Those are
to
just both
Pennsylvania.
like subsets of New York City and Philly, though. Camden's basically Philadelphia, and Newark's basically New York.
It helps us stay high in the ranks for crime, though. So
That's good. You don't want to
Burgers,
be
Carfax.
listen. You don't want to be too low in the ranks for crime.
Yeah.
That'd be terrible.
I'd be number one in something besides taxes
Some
and
rep.
shit. Yeah, something besides taxes. What town? What town did you grow up in?
Bridgewater, Central
yeah.
Jersey.
You guys got a good mall.
Yeah, that's everybody knows it for the mall. Isn't it sad, dude? Malls are just dying. It
They are,
doesn't
man.
exist.
Dude, they just
As-
don't exist anymore. It's
I'm
amazing.
okay with it.
I know,
I
but
went
as a
to-
kid, that was like a thing. You just go to the
Oh,
mall
yeah.
and hang out,
Right.
Because
14
you
years
shit
old.
to do.
Yeah, man. I went to the Livingston Mall like not long ago, and so many stores were closed. I guess COVID killed a lot of them, but
It's a bummer.
never bounced back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
nothing
there?
better. You go into the food court in the mall, get some Auntie Anne, something smells good,
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Go to
Cinnabon.
movies. Yeah, so
Yeah, dude. Oh wait, no. Last time I was on, the reason I went to the mall was because I had a fucking craving for that Japanese place, like the chicken teriyaki with the vegetables and the white
Sakura
rice.
or whatever.
Yeah. And they give you like 10 pounds. I literally told my sister, I was like, hop in the car. Like, I know what I want for lunch today. We're going to the mall. And I literally had that for lunch. It was so good too. I love it.
Cinnabon and their
Always
pretzels are usually my go-to.
Dude,
Oh, it's
Cinnabon
good.
is so good.
Yeah.
The Short
So-
Hills Mall had all those guys. There was a video of the people like stealing from Louis Vuitton or something like that. It's like,
Dude,
what's
that's all
going on?
malls are now. That's all malls are now. The mall in Syracuse, literally, you can't go a week without reading about there being a shooting in the mall or someone was robbed right outside the mall. Or like, I feel like
Jeez,
malls have gone
shoot the
from
guy stealing from it, so they stopped doing it. What's going on? Everything's going to hell.
What else is new, Dan? You just bought a house recently?
Yeah, just bought the house, closed in August. That's kind of a whirlwind. It's one of those things
Congrats.
you go through the process and you don't really have any preparation for it. I don't know. Are you three all homeowners?
I am not. I live in a house, but I do not own it.
You're probably better off for that.
Especially right now.
But it's been good. Everything's finally set up. It's just also a different vibe. I'm, getting used to actually knowing my neighbors, where in an apartment before, people
Mm.
just aren't that friendly for whatever reason. So it's been a good experience so far, and I'm liking it, just having more space and being able to just do what we want, basically. So it's been good so far.
Yep. How'd you guys find the place? You knew like what area you were gonna like buy in,
Yeah.
and then
Generally in central Jersey-ish area, just divide between where we both work. So kind of split the commute, and just kind of fell into the realtor, was doing research online, and ended up being a great situation where I called a couple people. One of the women I called, her daughter's best friend works with my wife. She sold them their first house, kind of clicked from there, and she's been doing it for 30 years. So I really just relied on her to basically guide us through, connect us to different people who would help us in the process, like the inspector, the lawyer, and
Yep.
everything went pretty smooth.
Yep. Yeah, I know Rich just you closed already, Rich?
Yeah, September. End of September. Yeah.
Congrats. Where are you moving?
Thanks. Florida.
Oh, you're going. Big move.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Rich just turned on his accent too. That was weird. For the
That
last
That
6
was
minutes
really
there.
weird. It's because
How
I
does that
insulted.
Florida?
I insulted New Jersey, and he had to go all Jersey, and then he overcorrected, and it's all a
How do you
mess
say
now.
it? Florida.
I don't know. The last two things you said, I was
Florida.
just like, the fuck?
Very out of there. So Dan, obviously, when you live in an apartment, anything ever goes wrong, it's like call the super or call whoever is owning the place or whatnot. Have you run into anything in the house yet that you're like, well, I didn't imagine I'd have to take care of this, but here I am.
Thankfully, we haven't been living here long enough that isn't the case, but it's just small stuff, right? We're getting ready to turn on the heat. Oh, we need to, replace the filter for the heater. We're both looking at it. I'm looking up videos online. It's like, oh, you just open this little door and pull it out. We're looking at it. It's like, where the hell is the door? How do I do this? I'm
You have
taking bolts.
the one style of heater that it's like tucked way under. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just little things like that. But one of the reasons why we wanted to get this specific place is we're at a townhouse and it was a younger couple living here before us. They put a lot of work into the place. So in comparison to some of the other ones we were looking at, it's like, yeah, this is basically a lot of the big ticket items like the roof, AC, windows, they had all replaced them within the last couple of years. So I'm hoping it's pretty minimal because I am not handy. I don't know if any of you guys have family that's handy, but no one in my family is handy.
YouTube,
so
man. YouTube
Yeah.
your recommended on YouTube will go from like music videos, or in Rich's case, stupid videos of things, to like everything will be how to do this.
Fake farts in public to how to change your countertop.
Yeah, that'll be exactly what it is.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot. But then my dad came back in like April with me. He spent a week, maybe a little longer, and we knocked out a bunch of stuff. But I think YouTube, I learned a lot. I mean, I also like learned a lot growing up from him. Like we finished the basement together. Like we did all the tile. I mean, he did everything himself growing up, and I got to stand there and be screamed at and learn. So like whatever I retained came in really
Hold
handy.
the flashlight better, dude. That's all I got.
That was a real thing. That was a legitimate real thing. I was like telling someone recently, like, I remember like, dude, just getting insulted all the time with stuff like that. Like one time we were picking up white wall, I was like, pick up the fucking white wall. Like it just goes
You're like a 4-year-old. You're like, I'm trying.
Yeah, dude, I was like little, yeah. And then like I mean not that little, but or like there was a kind of like a side note, but like there was something I saw on Instagram where it was like me doing my math homework like in 5th grade, and the guy like goes for a movie, the guy grabs a guy and like slams him on the desk and he's like crying. And it brought me back because it was like my mom was worse at math than anybody was. And she would be helping my sisters. She would be crying because she felt stupid and just couldn't, she's frustrated. My sister would be crying. My dad just called both of them stupid. So it was some funny shit. But anyway, yeah, I returned a lot of how to do stuff from that, and that was helpful. But I've hired people a few times if I just like don't want to be bothered, and it's expensive, man.
Fuck yeah, especially emergencies.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You need something done immediately. First of all, just a little heads up, at least where I am, anywhere that says they're 24-hour emergency services for things, they usually aren't. We had a shower that wouldn't stop running, like the knob broke on it. And I didn't know yet how to go in and just shut that off. I just knew how to shut the whole water off. And it's like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, what plumber is going to be open at 9 o'clock at night? So you Google 24-hour emergency services, and there are like 5 of them that do it. I called all 5 of them. No one ever called me back. And the next day when one finally did, I go, what does 24 hours mean? They're like, oh yeah, when we finally schedule, we can schedule you for any of the 24 hours. And I was like, that is not 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
On their own terms.
Do you know where your water shutoff is? I feel like that's the one of the most
That's
important.
the big one. Know where your water shutoff is.
Yes.
Okay.
I learned that recently because we had some people come in to do the inspection, and they were asking some of these questions. I'm like, I don't know where that is. They're like, all right, I'll find it and I'll show you where it is. So you definitely felt like an idiot in the moment, but I'm like, you know what? It'll work itself out.
Is your circuit breaker properly labeled?
It
Oh, that's a
is.
good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
It
I've
is.
had the
It is
shit
because
shocked out of me before.
Place is relatively new, right?
it's was built in the 80s, so
Okay.
it's
Still newer than a lot
but
of Jersey homes.
oh, for sure, for sure. So like relatively ish for the home game, but
Yep.
um, what helps is at least a lot of the cosmetic stuff they've fixed. So just got to worry about the bones of the house at this point.
Yep. Yep.
When I first moved into this house, so the people that owned it before us, you could tell it was like their last house. Um, so a lot of work had to be done, but they like glued, so it's on a slab. So they glued vinyl tile directly to the cement, which is porous. So it was like so hard to get it up. I couldn't use any like anything to like get the glue up. Like nothing would go through. Like I had to literally take a heat gun and heat up the tile to where like the glue would start to melt, and then I would have to take a like a crowbar and then like go under and like jack it up. There was high traffic areas. It was so hard. It went from the kitchen when you first walked in all the way down the hall. It was literally like 1,000 tiles. It felt like it's probably like I don't know 500, and it took me weeks to get all that done. And that's when I was like, you know what? I hired someone to do the floors. I was like, I got it up. I'm not fucking touching the floor unless I'm walking on it. So yeah, and now like we're renting it out, and like as we're kind of going around, I'm like patching some stuff up. It almost does kind of make you like a little, like almost a little sad. You're like, this is my first house, and I like put in a bunch of work, and like all like you remember when you first like moved in here, and finding some old lady's gray hairs and like all over the place and stuff like that. But no, I would say like being a homeowner, while obviously you have to take on a lot of stuff yourself, it does feel like at times it can be really frustrating. Like I'm like, what is this house put together with spit? But sometimes it does kind of feel like, your kingdom. You know what I mean? Like you have
Yeah,
much more ownership over it.
for sure. I think you have that sense of pride in the house, and then you associate those memories with it. Because at the end of the day, when you're living in more temporary housing, it just doesn't give you that same home feeling
Yeah.
that the house that you grew up in. All the time when I was living in apartments, you're like, all right, I'm going back home, but it doesn't feel like that. Where once you're
Yeah.
settled for a while, do things, set it up the way that you like it, you develop more of that connection. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Right.
I could see like why my dad too would always be like, good money after bad, and like freaking out. Like shit got like banged up because like now it's like, like the dog decides she wants to run across the floor and just like stretch her legs. So she's sliding a home plate. I don't know why, but she's like scratching up the moldings and shit. And you're just like, come on, what are you doing? Because it's like everything just adds up so quickly.
Oh,
So
I've
I
just
could,
accepted that with the dog. It's like you pay a dog tax, right? Where it's like, especially when
oof,
you first get them, half my shit's just gonna get broken. There was
yeah,
a point
it's
when
true.
my dog was a puppy. We were really trying to keep her kind of in a contained space because she would just bite everything when she was teething. Someone called me at work. My wife was at home in the office. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go in the bedroom for 5 minutes. I came out. There was just a hole in the couch. The dog just bit a hole in the couch, and I'm
Holy
like,
shit.
okay,
Damn
never doing this again.
it.
So what kind of dog do you have?
It's a Jack Russell, so
Oh, yeah.
high energy,
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
yappy. But she's good. She's finally getting settled. What kind of dog do you have?
I got a Weimaraner and I got which is like, do you know what those are?
Yes, yes.
Okay, 'cause a lot of people don't. And she's like petite though. She's like only 55 pounds. And then I got a miniature dachshund.
So you got a spectrum of
Yeah,
dogs.
yeah, a Wyman and a Ween. Yeah, the little one's like the boss, dude.
She's so cute,
She's so tough. She's
but
so
she's so
cute.
fucking cute.
Yeah, she's literally the cutest little dog I've ever seen. And every night she's got to like sleep in the bed, like curled under you. She's the most loving dog, but she'll fight literally any. Like with us, she's super loving, right? She like loves the other dog. Like she just always wants to like be in her face and super affectionate. But if she sees another dog on the street or a person, she'll like want to go for the throat. And it doesn't matter how big that dog is. Like
Uns-
dachshunds are meant to fight
Unsight.
badgers, and you can see why. Like a beast.
I was gonna say the smallest dogs have the biggest hearts. They're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
they're ready to go for it at any time.
Well, she's like a
Yeah.
quad, dude. She's literally like a quad. She's like little. She's only stands like that far off the ground, but she's like 15 pounds of like she's like a little pit bull.
Dense
She's
as
jacked.
fuck.
Yeah, she's got a little belly on her. She's like a piglet too. She's like she's like a little piglet. Who is that bitch? Hang on, let me get that little book.
Yeah, you gotta bring her on cam.
So what else is new, Dan? How's work going?
Works good. I'm a project manager. I've been doing that for like a year and a half, and before that was doing different supply chain jobs. Probably the best thing about being a project manager now is that I can finally explain what my job is to people and they know what it is. Versus previously having to just say buzzwords that people blankly stare at me. She's really cute.
Because before, what was your title? Like something with supply chain?
Yeah, supply chain planning.
Jesus.
She's like a little finger.
Whoa, bro.
All right. Well, that just got
we're
us
definitely
kicked off of
getting
YouTube. Yep.
man blows fart on dog. That's how we go viral.
But works good. It's funny. One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about was, do your partners have different jobs than you, and how do you talk about that? Because my wife's a teacher, so our day-to-days are very different, and it's always funny just talking about your job to someone who doesn't really understand any of it whatsoever, and
Right.
some of those funny differences. Some funny stories come out of it too, which we could talk about, but just curious what you guys think.
I'll go first. Yeah, I mean, at some point I just kind of gave up trying to explain like what I like actually do every day, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm just like sending emails to people and talking about construction stuff, you know. And same for her. Like I've watched her, and now that I've been doing a little more like I've been doing a little more like very very basic like graphic design stuff. I think just like for YouTube or something. We're just messing around with NFT shit. I've been like messing around and like I don't even know how I use Canva and just like kind of like create certain things. So I guess I understand a little bit more about her work, but I think we both kind of understand that we're both in like different realms, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I can understand the complex side of it. So I now teach college courses, so that's pretty easy. You can tell anybody what you do. It's super
Yep.
simple. But being a scientist, my background has prior to that never been easy to tell people. So I have found to just it's funny because like a lot of my friends from that background, from the science background, people will ask them what they'll do and they'll go into full on science jargon and start giving you like a chalk talk on what they do. And I'm just like, no, they're not going to understand what you're talking about, man. Chill out.
Yeah, a bunch
Meanwhile,
of nerds,
I'm
dude.
like,
I saw it one time.
meanwhile, I'm like, people would ask me what I do. I'd be like, I play with lasers. It is much more complex than that, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to waste your time or mine because like,
Play with lasers sounds sick.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Stick with
so
that.
so then when I went to my job before what I currently do, my research just involved test pilots. So I used to just tell people I mess with test pilots' brains. That's what I tell them. It's much more complex than that, but I certainly wasn't going to spend any time or energy telling them that. But it's funny you bring up, working in a completely different field than your spouse, because I'm like the opposite. So all the research I've ever done has been kind of medical based research, and my wife is a nurse practitioner. So like we can talk, but there's also times that I'll ask her something because she'll tell me a story, and the way she'll tell it, I'll be like, am I supposed to understand what's going on here? Am I supposed to, like, she'd tell it like, you should know that this person is doing something stupid or asking me a stupid question. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I was going to ask that same question, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and nod. So
It's cool though. You can talk shop a little
Yeah.
bit and understand more of what's going on. I mean, part of why I said it's just too. It's funny differences. Working in a corporate environment with older people, most of them who are older than me, versus my wife who's with kids, and just the funny differences in the dynamic. Because with kids, especially she's third grade, they're very sweet still, like just whole life
Innocent.
in front of them, unaware of
Innocent, yeah.
things, and funny in just like ways that they don't even realize. There was a couple years ago in the pandemic, we were both working from home, and they were doing a lot of the work virtually. So one of the things they would do from time to time is have the kids do presentations. One day she's in the office, just kind of cranking away, looking through them, calls me over. She's like, look at this presentation. So I'm going through this kid's thing. It's about dogs. We all love dogs, of course. Get to like slide 3 and it's like how to take care of your dog. And I'm looking through it. And then I look at the back of the kid as the background of the slide. It's just a dog banging another dog. And he just doesn't even, and it's just like, oh, I guess he thought he was hugging him or he knew what he was doing. I don't know, but
Dogs love each other.
Yeah, I have to find the picture.
I guess that's technically taking care of a dog. Like it's a dog taking care of a dog, right? I mean,
he was taking care of
Taking care of the dog.
But then you have on my side, like the super older people who just don't really care at all and just have hit their point where it's like whatever happens. I had a team meeting where we were doing this workshop, and the director on our team is an icebreaker, said, hey, everyone's going to present a topic, but before you do, talk about 3 things that you would bring with you yourself on a deserted island. So we're all going, everyone's doing generic stuff, preparing for Survivor or whatever they need to do. This guy comes up in front of everyone. He's like, if I was being like PC, I would put this up. And he has a slide. He goes back a slide and it's just 3 pictures. It's breath mints, Viagra, and Gal Gadot. And we're all just laughing our asses off. And then at a point I'm like, oh, is this funny to laugh at? Am I going to get shit for this? But it's just funny. You see the spectrum of people.
What was the third one?
Gal Gadot.
Oh, the actress. That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
Oh my god,
that's absolutely awesome.
He was like, I showed this to my wife, and she called me an effing dirty old man. Like, yeah, she's not far
She's not wrong.
That's hilarious. I mean, if anybody from HR ever watches this, it's not funny, but
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
It's highly inappropriate, but
I mean, the balls
funny
to
the
do
moment.
that. Holy shit! This guy got like 1 year left in his career, and if he gets packaged out, he's like looking.
He's at the end. He's at the end of the line for sure.
Yeah,
but that's what's funny about work. You just have all the different stereotypical like personalities. Like for you guys, like I always think about The Office, right? In terms of all the personalities and the extremes of that, and like who is the person that you interact with the most on a regular basis out of those characters? Because I feel like it's Stanley. Because Stanley is that guy. I'm just not giving a shit.
Yep. I think every office has even like unconventional offices. There's always a Stanley, someone who's just literally punching the clock until retirement.
Well, I say like my corporate culture, people do a very good job about not letting you know really a lot about their personal life. Maybe because their lives revolve so much around work, but I think they don't really play politics. They don't really talk about politics. They don't really talk about their stance on certain stuff. Like like they're really good at that. Where earlier in my career, like when I worked at like small agencies, I mean, Christ, it was like, they would just spin up little projects to talk about like politics. Like, we're going to stand for this and we're going to create spec work around this. And it was just, I don't know, it was just really, and like the day after the election was always like an interesting time. Or leading up to it, like, they were just very in your face about what they believed in, what they stood for, if they did not agree with you. So it's very refreshing to be part of a culture that's not in your face about it. But I mean, that, what you just said, literally, I'm going to be laughing about that for probably weeks. In fact, I'm going to text my cousin and my other friend about that in a group chat, because that's a hilarious story.
Do you think working remote has something to do with that culture?
That's a good question. That's a really. I
feel like that's
question.
how it is for me, because we're all, at least everybody on my team is fully remote, so everybody kind of doesn't, or maybe it's just me, but like a lot of us don't just kind of like dive into like personal lives because we really don't talk to each other that often.
I think that's a really good question. Actually, I never really thought about it that way, but I don't know if it's just the culture that I'm in and everyone's just very objective and like tactical and like just like kind of like suity, but in a good way. Like not that everyone's like just stuffed suit, but they're just like.
Did you say sugi?
Suity, like a suit, like a suit.
I've never heard that one before.
I was like an advertising show. I'm like, oh, you're a suit. I don't know. That's That's a good question.
I think it is because I'm
Could
in
be
like a
a part of
hybrid
it.
approach, and before I was doing full virtual as everyone else was. And I did not know anything about people because it's just
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get on this Teams meeting the second it's over. I don't want to
And
chit
hop
chat. I got
off.
stuff to do. I'm
Right.
gonna hop
Yeah.
off.
We're in the office.
Yeah, maybe
You'll
that's it.
bullshit right at lunch, or you'll go to lunch, or maybe you'll grab a beer after work once in a while or something.
Yeah,
I feel like
happy hour. You'll drink too much and say too much, and
Yeah,
somebody
Where's the
I think
says
other
it's
the
just
best thing
that
to know about people.
it's also just that thing though, like nobody likes silence, right? So like if you're stuck in an office with someone for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you're more apt to just talk to break the
Yeah,
silence
that's
and
true.
monotony, and then that forms into something. And
Yeah. Now, if you're like waiting for the meet, like a few people to come into the meeting, you're like, okay, like on mute, just catching up on emails, stuff like that. Yeah, that's actually that's a really good point. Maybe it is. Maybe it is because of that. I don't know, but
there's
that's refreshing.
nothing worse than the small talk before a meeting starts of how's it going? How
Oh
was
my
your
God.
weekend?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like intentionally late to most meetings.
Yes.
They're like right on time, so I don't have to be a part of that.
That's smart. That's smart. I've definitely showed up to meetings late on purpose, like once or twice.
Like this Zoom
Depending
call.
on I know who's there. Yeah, especially when it tells you like yeah, this Zoom call. When it tells you like who started the meeting, you're like,
Oh,
don't
Oh
want to be
yeah,
in a room with you.
not joining that one.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is such a
wait.
great call.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally like depending on like some dynamics between certain people, like there's like a specific person that I like make sure that I'm never like alone with for like it's a whole story, but it's actually like not because I like dislike them. It's just because of some crazy thing. So I'm like, I'm not gonna. Nope.
Stay clear. We all have
Nope.
those people in our lives.
I'll have to tell the story after the recording. Yeah, but I think so. As far as your question, like yeah, like my career's even I have trouble describing my career even to people within my field sometimes, but totally different. And one time she was like, "Do you just make PowerPoints for a living?" And I was like, you know, because she always sees me in PowerPoint, like making presentations. So that's what she thinks I do. So
Even my wife, like with the kids, asking them what their parents do. Some of them, with these corporate jobs, they don't understand what the hell is going on. Like a kid said about his dad, all he does is talk on the phone, talk in this meeting, and that's like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, honestly. If I were this kid's dad.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, my niece one time was like saying she wants to do what my sister does when she grows up, and I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Because I get to type on a computer and I get to wear like sweatpants or something like that."
She already knows.
That's a dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dan, you're on a quest to watch all the top rated movies.
Yeah, I've been trying to get more into movies because one, I just don't have a lot of time, with shows, especially if it's a show I want to watch by myself. It's like this is going to take me over a year to finish it, depending on how many seasons there are. Where movies I can kind of crank them out pretty quickly, and just going through like a list of the greatest movies of all time, I'm like, I haven't seen so many of these. Like you look at them, and there's maybe like you've hit like 40%. I am going to filter out old movies. If it's a movie that was made more than 50 years ago, I'm not
Oh,
watching it.
right.
But
I would say Casablanca should be one of
should be
those
on
old
there.
movies that 100%. It's not even that long. It's like I feel like it's 45 minutes. It's not that long, but it's phenomenal.
What have you seen recently?
I haven't tackled anything on there. I'm going to try to go with just different theme months. I love horror movies, so since we're in the Halloween season, watched Friday the 13th the other night, and I just love dumb movies. A lot of dumb movies. Like we watched maybe like 2 weeks ago the Meg 2. Oh, great movie. Not enough Meg in it in comparison to the first one, but just a dumb action movie or a dumb comedy movie. It's the absolute best.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a dumb action movie. These two have made fun of me since Hofstra for it. I at one point said I like Transformers or like it was a great movie, and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck,"
I'm with you, Tyler.
That's not entirely true. Tyler's
That was your like favorite movie, wasn't it?
No, it's just that
I was
Tyler.
a kid.
It actually had nothing to even do with Transformers. Tyler just was very, very nice to movies. Like I don't think I ever heard him say, I
Sure.
don't like that movie. Except for Drive,
except for Drive,
which you and I left and absolutely hated. Don't waste your time on it. Don't waste your time on it. Worst movie ever.
Who's in
So
that
let me ask you
movie?
this. Let me ask you this. It's Ryan Gosling. So obviously it's a movie.
That's
And he
right.
like didn't talk in the whole movie or
No,
something.
it was like
Something.
a 2 hour movie and there was maybe 35 minutes of dialogue the entire. It was terrible. Just don't watch it. It was just bad. So you're on a quest to watch movies, but like, are you a sit at your house and wait for the movie to come to on demand and watch it? Do you go to movie theaters?
That's a good question. I've been trying to make more of an effort to go to the movies, like go a handful of times a year. That's one of the things we talked about the malls before, but I feel like movies are another thing that are in rough shape, and it's a bummer, honestly, because
Yeah.
that is such a quintessential just family activity. Um, but honestly, I still watch way more at home. I'm typically just like a streaming thing because the thing that is so annoying now is, oh, you can get this new movie for 25 bucks. It's like I'm not gonna pay 25 bucks to watch this at home. That's absurd.
Yeah, I ain't falling for that shit.
Yeah. That's gonna be the tough thing once I have like a kid and it's like, oh, I want to watch this movie and it's like shit, I have to buy this now.
A lot of the old movies you should be able to find though. So like
I
if
was
you're
gonna
looking
say,
at top
yeah,
rated
most
stuff.
most of them are gonna be on someone's streamer somewhere because everybody's
sure.
got a streamer now. Um,
Or if you need any DVDs, I got some old movies. So at my parents' house.
Yeah, that's the one thing too with the older movies, man. The DVD collections back in the day. My parents we had such a good DVD collection when Blockbuster closed. We went there and just bought a bunch of movies for like $2.
or
Yo,
the old $5 movie bin at Walmart.
Yup.
A lot of my movies came from that $5 movie bin. My wife has never had cable. She never really had it growing up with her family or anything either. So they're big movies and TV show type things. So like the number of DVD, not just DVD movies, but like we have full series of TV shows. I'm like, I think I have all but the last season of Game of Thrones on DVD.
Okay, I'll probably get in the last season of DVD.
We have Arrested Development on DVD. Like that was, I remember those days even when you like you waited for a season to come out of something on DVD and then you got it. It was crazy.
God, hell
Yeah, dude, I
yeah.
had like the Mad Men DVD. I have a bunch of old ones. I forgot about DVDs.
Yeah, I was gonna say the problem you're gonna run into is you got to make sure you got like a DVD fixing guy, because the second
Yeah,
that thing craps out, it's like, oh, I'm screwed now.
yeah. I bought like a PS2 recently, because I was like, I really want to play these old PS2 games, and like I just like I'll treat myself. I'll buy a PS2, and like all these like frame rate drops and like not being able to read certain discs, and I'm like, I need a new like a laser reader, whatever you call it, disc reader, and like you have to go and try and find one that's not like a shitty aftermarket part. So I can only, and that's what, like 20 years old at this point, or not 20, like 15 years old, but it won't be long. How old are DVDs now at this point? Probably about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, do they even? I honestly don't know because again, we just talked about it. Like, yes, the movie theaters are dying. I think buying DVDs are also dying. Like, even
Oh, for
buying
sure.
Blu-rays are dying. But like,
Yeah.
do they even make DVDs or is everything Blu-ray now? Like, I don't even
think
know.
everything's
I honestly
Blu-ray.
don't know.
Actually, I don't know, because there's probably a lot of people. No, I don't think everything's Blu-ray. Because if you go to like certain places, like a Walmart or whatever, like the bin is still DVDs. Maybe that's why they're like $5 now, because it's like they're old.
who's buying
I don't
DVDs
know.
still?
I mean, here's the thing. So, and I might get this backwards, and when my wife listens to this episode, she might tell me she has it backwards. This is a sign of the times. Her DVD player broke. This is when we weren't even living together yet. Her DVD player broke, and instead of getting a new DVD player, she ended up buying a new TV and a Blu-ray player because she still had a box TV and DVD players now only had HDMI cables. They didn't have the tri-cord anymore.
Yeah.
So she ended up buying a whole new TV and a DVD player. I was like,
hilarious.
oh, okay. So now this is the time we're in where we can't just buy a new DVD player. You have to buy a whole new television too.
Yeah. Do
It's
you
probably
like?
all transition now to like apps like Voodoo, right? Where you just have a virtual locker of
Voodoo,
movies.
Plex, all those ones, yeah.
Yeah. Do you Because like I feel like the world has gotten more convenient in a lot of ways, but there's still something that's sort of like missing, in the sense that like if you go back to Blockbuster, right? And you just have to like go out and get movies, or even sometimes just go to a movie theater. Like feels good. Like last time I did it, I think I saw like The Northman, and I was like, that's kind of cool actually to be in a theater again. Like I haven't done this in a while, because I was always just watching stuff at home. But like going out and going to Blockbuster, like getting it, that was always like part of a Friday night. It was really fun. It had so many like if you see a Blockbuster, right, like branding or something like that, like you have emotions attached to it. And I feel like now it's just like while the world's more convenient, there's a lot less emotions attached to like watching a movie. You might like the movie, but it's not like a, I don't know, like an experience, if that's the word, like it used to be.
Totally. I mean, even going to Blockbuster back then, you didn't know what movies were going to be there. It was kind
Yeah.
of a roll of the dice of, oh, this movie's here, and even then you go up and you're like, do they have one that's sitting on the
Yeah.
shelf?
Is it behind the case? I
Yeah,
just saw
yeah,
I just saw a meme the other day that was like, I'm letting my kids know what real pain was. And real pain was going to Blockbuster and finding your movie and then finding out there's no copies behind it.
yeah, man. But it was, so,
Even,
I loved it.
even too what you were saying, I mean, throwing it back to the PS2 thing, just renting the game so you could rent a game for
Yeah.
a week and then do it.
Yeah.
Where did you get that PS2? eBay?
Amazon. I got it off Amazon, and they had like these refurbished ones. Actually, the first one came and it was like had all crusted dust on it, and I was like, I literally bought one that was excellent, and I sent that back. So I had all the games, and I was like ready to play, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I sent that back, and I got another one, and I had some fun playing like Vice City, like GTA Vice City and stuff like that, the original
Hell yeah.
Ghost Recon. Yeah, you can get them on like on Amazon for like 170 or something like that, but.
Damn, that expensive still?
Yeah, they're not expensive. Yeah, they still are.
Yep.
But if you go on eBay, you can get ones that like are still in the original box for like 600, 800. And part of me is like, should I do that, man? Never
No.
been touched.
No.
Come on.
The answer is
You know, I
no.
love retro gaming, and then now PS2's retro gaming. I like never buy myself shit. I love retro gaming, and I'd say like turning on that PS2 and hearing that sound for the first time again in a long time was incredible. But then it was like the controller that they sent you isn't the original controller, so the sensitivity is fucking crazy. So I'm trying to drive around Vice City and I'm like hitting buildings, hitting, you know, it's like I can't aim my gun or anything like that. So it just like wasn't the same experience.
Still though, those are the best at that point in time. I think that was like the second console I had was a PS2. I love
Yeah.
that thing, man.
Do you still game?
No, I kind of got off it, especially like around college. I would play a little bit, and since haven't. But it's one of those things I always say, like, oh, should I get a console? But I know exactly what's gonna happen. I'll play it a lot for 2 weeks, and then just be like, I'm not
Yeah,
doing this
yeah,
anymore.
that's true. Yeah,
I
I built a gaming PC, so
I just downloaded Steam because I'm talking to these two, and so I downloaded a game called Apex Legends, and then we played that game. It Takes Two. Man and I were playing
Did
the
you
other
like
night.
it?
It was a lot of fun. So we've just been playing on my laptop, and but Legends is a first person shooter, and I played like this morning before work for like an hour, and I got fucking worked. I'm
People
so
are good,
bad.
man. People are good. The learning curve is insane.
I mean,
Everyone's
that's
so
the problem.
good.
That's the problem with playing new games is you jump in and there's a bunch of 12-year-olds who are just gonna kick your ass at it because
All
they
the
are just
time.
on the grind
All the time.
every
Or the
day.
guy who's played a game for the last like this one game I love player. It's called PUBG, like Player Unknown's Battlegrounds or whatever. It was like one of the first battle royales. And sometimes like, oh, I would love to hop back in. There's a guy who's been playing it for the last like 6 years, 7 years, never quit like me, and he's just a god at this point, and just totally jacks you up. You gotta put the time. You gotta put the time in. I'll be honest with you. Like, if you're not gonna like do it like often enough, I think you're gonna get like wrecked a lot. It's gonna be really
Bro,
frustrating.
I told you we'd play together. We could play together.
Sure, we gotta
Let's
put the
get this
time
move
in.
out of the way.
We
It
got,
could be your
yeah,
meat shield.
yeah. If you want to be
Yeah.
chill, yeah, we
I'll
gotta.
take bullets for you, bro. I'll draw out the enemy. You kill him.
Did you not? You didn't play. None of you game during COVID. Really? I see. Like I played Call of Duty Warzone like every day. I like reconnected with kids from high school. Like we had a whole crew that would like get on at a certain time and like play together. It was awesome.
During COVID, I feel like 90% of my time outside of work was spent either drinking or exercising, and then that
That's
basically
exactly
covered
what it
Or
is.
drinking and exercising.
Yeah. little of both sometimes.
Oh no, man! I played so much Warzone, and I had like a beard that was like I had a huge beard. I look like somebody that would be on CNN. Like I look like a crazed maniac, like that would be on CNN. But I every day like 5 o'clock, slap on the headset, and we'd all be where we dropping today?
Haven't changed your clothes for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, that's something I've kept with me past, since COVID's been declared over. Still the same.
All right. Well, is it time for the lightning round? Lightning round.
round.
Rich, I think you got a new first question, right? And then we'll get into our regular questions.
How did you already forget this?
I don't know. What did I? Can you give me a hint? Can you give me a
Yeah,
hint?
songs,
It might be
music.
asking what Dan's favorite song is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. What's your favorite song?
Wow, that is a tough question because I really like music. Probably, I guess, just the song that's held the test of time the most for me is Mr. Brightside. I feel like that was one when I
Ooh.
was 12. I vividly remember that song coming out, watching that music video on MTV Hits. Do you guys remember MTV Hits? That
Yeah.
shit
Hell
was
yeah,
the
man.
best.
Hell yeah.
It's one of the
Uh,
best wedding songs too.
Yeah, that's
Fucking
why it
lights the
still
dance.
holds up.
Yeah, we've been meaning to add that little portion in for a while, but
Rich, that was so close to it. We're probably gonna get a strike on YouTube for playing
I was gonna
copyright.
say,
Copyright? Yeah.
I'm so glad you picked a song he knew, Dan, because it would have been weird if you didn't.
Yeah, you were gonna get like
that worked
Careless
out really
Whisper or something like that by Wham.
Okay. What are 3 things on your bucket list?
going to Spain. My parents, my dad's family is from there. Like my grandparents grew up there, so I've never been there. I've only been a couple of places in Europe, so I want to make a big trip there. I still have some family there. Go for 2 weeks. Other ones, running a marathon. I really like to run, but I just have never been able to build up the distance necessarily to do it. So I know Tyler can be my
I'll
spirit
do it with
animal
you.
there.
I'll do it
And
with you. Hell
then
yeah.
and then third, I love sports so much. I'm not as big of a fan of college football, but I would love to go to one of those massive games at some point, like an
Yes.
Auburn,
Yeah.
Alabama. Just
Yes.
enjoy the tailgating scene, make a whole weekend out of it. I think it would be an absolute blast.
I love it. Hell yeah. Seth?
All right. Would you go to space?
No, I hate heights and I would be bored out of my mind. It would be one of those things. Have you guys ever been to like Niagara Falls?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like you get there, okay, this is beautiful, looks so cool. And then after an hour, it's like, all right, I'm ready to leave. Wouldn't that be what space is like?
But then you have
More.
a 12-day ride back to Earth, or whatever,
Right? It's
whatever
like-
it is.
Or you could do the jump like the Red Bull guy. Remember he jumped from that like satellite thing?
Oh yeah.
That was so wild.
That guy's just crazy. He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I still don't know how he didn't die, honestly. But that was one of the most insane videos I've ever seen.
Did he like catch on fire during the fall? Like was there a bunch of I don't know what
Probably
you
not, because he probably. I mean, he's not large enough. So, like, ships catch on fire and they have the fire shield because they're larger mass coming in. I mean, you're talking about a 150-pound man going against the atmosphere.
Yeah. That's gotta
Those
be an
videos are
insane
always
experience.
so cool though. It's like the David Blaine one where he just had like the balloons. Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Had a bunch of giant balloons and just flew hundreds of feet in the air just because.
You gotta wonder how these people like become who they are. Like, who wakes up one morning and is like, you know what? Today I'm just gonna hold 100 balloons and see how high in the air I can go.
Yeah.
What's up?
How do you get
You
back
remember
down safely?
Those celebrity mean tweets, and like he read his, and it was like David Blaine's face looks like his voice is putting him to sleep because he's like so monotone.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah.
What is the best book you've ever read or listened to?
I am not a reader. My wife is a big reader, and I tell her that I read emails for work, so that's my reading. So the last book that I probably read, I read one book on our honeymoon. I don't even remember the title of it, to be honest. It's probably been like 10 years since the last book I read before that.
Roger that.
Interesting. What do you think? Well, no, lightning round. Time travel. Where would you go? And you can go. Would you go forward in time or backward in time if time travel was real?
Definitely backwards. I wouldn't be able to function going forward. I already feel like I'm out of touch with things. I would go somewhere that's close enough to where we grew up, maybe like the 80s or 90s when I was younger, because you still kind of know how things are supposed to be, but get to experience something that you either didn't get to experience or just don't remember at a certain point.
That's a good one.
I would come back with. I'd be manic depressive when I came back.
Bunch of Backstreet Boys memorabilia.
Yeah, right. Go see them in their prime. No, I literally going from the 90s. Like if you go back to the 90s, you see the way the world was, and like if your parents are young and all this, like holy shit, imagine
That would be weird.
Oof.
That'd be weird.
Even just the way the
Come back
world is.
with dyed tips, it would just be a change.
Yeah, frosted tips.
It's like a young Justin Timberlake.
Oh man, I gotta wonder. Whatever. Lightning round.
Lightning round.
If you could have dinner with a famous person, dead or alive, who would it be?
I am gonna say Bert Kreischer. He's pretty
that?
funny,
Oh,
but he's just a
the
great hang.
machine.
He just seems like a great guy to just hang out with, shoot the shit, drink some beers, just have a fun regular night, right? Like
His laugh is so fucking.
He seems like he'd be like yelling the entire time though.
probably. He would probably be like, counterbalance my energy a little bit.
Yeah.
But just feels like a cool guy to hang out with.
He does just seem like, for an incredibly successful, famous person, to just be very like down to earth, kind of low key. Him and Tom Segura.
Yeah,
Tom Segura is so funny.
they both are.
And have you guys ever seen the video of where Tom Segura's body just decided to like take revenge on him, and he went up for a layup and blew out his knee and then broke his arm at the same time?
No.
So he went up for a layup and he blew his knee out going up for the layup, and when he fell on his arm and broke his arm.
Fuck.
It is such a messed up video.
Fuck.
I don't know if I want to watch that, man.
Yeah, pass.
Every time I see like an athlete has some weird like injury, like in basketball, a guy comes down, I'm like, I just like I can't watch that. It's disgusting. Watching bones break. A song that you hear, right? Is there what is a song that you hear that brings you back to a specific time and place, and where is that time and place?
I would say a big album for me, and I don't know if you guys would know this. It was the Mac Miller Kids mixtape that came out when I was a senior in high school. So anytime that I hear that, it brings me back to that time, because I think he was like a high school student about that, and a lot of the songs are about school. So I vividly remember one of my friends had the mixtape, a burned CD, Making Us Old Again, in the car. She's like, yo, you should listen to this. And it just takes me back anytime that I hear any of those songs. The other ones would be, like Mr. Brightside, any of those like MTV Hits era songs, In the Club,
Oh,
Ocean
shit.
Avenue.
Who said that? Did Marv say that last time?
Soup said in the club.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
those bring me back to my basement, just shooting hoops on my fucking little hoop there, listening to music videos or playing video games, being like, this is the greatest.
Yeah, the reason why I think we ask that question a lot is because it's cool to think about like how music can like take you back like that. It's pretty fun, pretty interesting.
For sure. Do you have any other ones? Because I'm sure there's not just like one, right?
I mean, those couple I listed are the main ones. I mean,
Really?
other ones too. I feel like that draw memories or songs with your parents. Some for me that were frequent ones in the car, like some Bruce Springsteen songs. It takes me back to the point in time when you were out all day with family, friends doing stuff. You're driving home at the end of the night, just in the car, listening to music, stuff like that. Always triggers those like super early memories.
Yeah, man.
That's the end of the lightning round. We have one final question that we used to work in before the lightning round.
It's because I was just thinking this. I think it's because on the sheet it's under our lightning. You got to fix the sheet.
It's true. I've been fucking up. Do you believe in aliens, Dan?
Of course. I mean, do any of you guys not believe in aliens?
No, and no one said no so far. So.
No, someone did. Who did?
Ooh.
We had one person I thought who said that they didn't believe in aliens, and I can't remember who it was now.
Was it EJ?
No, he did. I'm pretty sure.
Was it Rob?
No, it could be Rob. Yeah,
I think it was Rob.
Really? I thought he said yeah.
I don't know. Now I'm going to go back and listen.
Great. Just
everyone.
get those numbers up.
You probably do
Anyway,
have to keep track of that.
so
'cause it
elaborate.
gets-
What do you think these aliens are? Do you think they're like us in disguise? Do you think they haven't seen us yet? Do you think that they're waiting for something?
I think they exist probably in different forms. Maybe some that could resemble looking like humans, others that probably look like things that we can't even comprehend. I personally think like aliens have come to Earth, but just the aliens that are capable of doing that are so much more sophisticated than us. They look at our society and how we operate as human beings, and they're just like, you guys care about the stupidest things. You're killing each other for looking different and things that you believe. We don't want to hang out with you or be
We're not
involved
messing with
you.
those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I think it's like, have you guys heard of the Ariel school in Zimbabwe? There
No.
was this documentary that I've been meaning to watch, and I've seen some of the clips from it, where there was apparently in the 90s this alien sighting at this school where like 60 kids, basically this spaceship landed at the school supposedly, and these kids all saw it. And the documentary basically goes into, you know, what happens when you believe that you've seen something in this phenomenon and no one else believes you. And they sent this Harvard psychologist there to basically interview the people. And like some of the clips I saw, it's pretty crazy that I honestly believe that it happened, that they did see aliens or something. And like basically just because of how we are as human beings, people wouldn't believe it because we can't comprehend experiencing
Interesting.
something like that.
So that was 94. There's another documentary, The Moment of Contact, that was 96 in Varginha, Brazil, that Rogan talks about a lot. It's on Amazon. Another alien encounter that if you're looking for something like that to watch, I think it's a paid one, though. That's why I haven't watched it yet. But like you have to pay like $3 or something to watch it on Amazon.
You said last week. Did I ever tell you the story about like, I feel like I might have when we were talking about ghosts, but like I had a quote unquote this dream where in my dream, I woke up from my dream, okay? And in my bedroom, my dad was standing in front of the window and he was standing in silence looking out the window. And I got out of bed and I went over and I looked out and there was like a spaceship. And this dream, I like, you gotta smirk like I'm fucking crazy. Say you're just like those people that don't believe the African kids.
Yeah.
You're no different. No, it was literally so fucking vivid though. Like every little detail in this dream. Like, you know, when it's like in a dream, like you might be walking down the street and there's like things that are just a little off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like this was so vivid that like I never would have known it was a dream until I woke up later on. But like it was just I can't describe it. It was like, I guess, a dream within a dream, but it was so vivid that it just seems so real. I just remember the ship like floating, and then all of a sudden it was just kind of like over not long after. I woke up like later or whatever it was. I remember asking my dad, I was like, do you remember that? And he's like, no, like what? But dude, it was so vivid. I
maybe you were abducted and then they wiped your memory.
I don't know, dude. I like literally though, it was I vividly remember this moment.
Telepathic communication, maybe they're getting into your subconscious or something.
Oh, you gotta start wearing the tinfoil hat, bro.
It already got me. Maybe they give me some superpower that I just don't know of yet.
I'm really starting to think that dreams, and I don't know if people have, I think there's a theory on it, but like that dreams are like you in a different universe, like the multiverse. If the multiverse is a real thing, just because like some of them, like you're saying, feel so fucking real that like if I had made some different decisions in my life, I could see how I could end up in this scenario in a different universe. You know,
It's also
I've had dreams like the last couple of weeks. I'm like, fuck, I'm really starting to believe like this could be a thing.
No, it's so weird. Have you had like, so I've been having dreams recently where like there are people from like my high school in it, or like people I haven't talked to in almost 10 years who just are like in the dream, and you're right, maybe it is like just you do that one thing differently 10, 15 years ago, and you're like, oh shit, okay, so it's your dream is your multiverse. That's a great theory.
Yeah. Dan, do you believe in the multiverse?
So that I don't know if I can get on board with, but Yeah, I just how would that work?
Beats me.
We need someone
Maybe
smarter than us to explain.
maybe we live in a simulation, and the multiverse is just different decisions made in a simulation.
I mean,
Maybe.
I mean, based on how things are going, it kind of feels like that. It feels like someone's just fucking around with us, just a
For
little
sure.
bit.
If you turn on the news and you watch the news for like 20 minutes, there's gonna be a lot of things you're like, that's so fucking stupid. Like, how is that? Like, there's no way someone's not fucking with me right now.
Have you guys ever seen the show Miracle Workers? There's a couple of seasons
Wait,
of
why
it.
have I heard? I know what you're talking about.
The first season's really funny. They do a different theme every single season of it. It has Daniel Radcliffe, Steve Buscemi, and the first season is
Yeah, okay.
basically Steve Buscemi's God, and then everyone else kind of works, and it's basically like a
Yeah.
corporate office where they work as angels doing like miracles and stuff. But it's to that point. There's a really funny episode where Steve Buscemi is a god and he's at his like family's dinner and his siblings are making fun of him like, dude, what the hell is a giraffe and stuff like that, because he just made all these things. He's like, it's a dog with a long neck and stuff like that.
Yo, they do have weird fucking bodies. We went to a zoo like a month ago, and they're like so compact compared to their necks. It almost looks like they just flipped them around too. Like their thighs are weird and stuff too. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen one recently, but they're weird animals.
I mean, you
Giraffes
just
are
saw my dachshund. Look at that body shape. How do we get from a wolf to that little
It's true. I mean,
shit?
if you take a day and actually walk through a zoo and look at a lot of the animals and think about it, you can think like, why, how,
Yeah.
how did
Yeah.
Dude, like like when geese are flying by sometimes too, I'm like, if God is real, that's like the biggest joke he ever played. Like, he's just gonna create this thing that flies through the air, going, as it just like flies through the air.
Not to mention, have you ever seen the teeth of geese? Like,
Oh, yeah.
what? All sorts of messed up. All
Yeah,
sorts
man.
of messed up.
They're a creepy thing, man.
What if those are the aliens? What if just different species of animal is actually the aliens? It's just not a species of human of like our Earth. We're thinking about aliens all wrong.
I like the idea. Did you ever watch like the new? It wasn't the newest Alien, or maybe it is. It's like one of the newer. I think it's the newest Alien, where the one like alien comes to Earth and he drinks something and his body just like breaks down into like a goo, and that he's like standing at the top of a waterfall. He like drinks it and then he like breaks down, falls into the water,
Oh.
and then like all his
Prometheus.
DNA goes. Prometheus, yeah, which was an alien, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that theory, so maybe I want to go with that. It's
Do
kind
you
of cool.
think I know you guys are big into conspiracy theories. I don't know if you talked about this one before. Do you believe the aliens are basically putting on people costumes and controlling the planet?
Well, so my theory is that the ones
Would
we've seen are
explain
like
why.
scouts, right? And they've come, or they're like, maybe it's like a Star Wars type thing where they're just flying by and they happen to come by our planet and maybe they crash landed or something. And we've captured a few of the ships at some point when they've crash landed. I don't know how the Zimbabwe thing went, but the Varginha, Brazil, apparently at the end the Air Force comes in and takes away the alien bodies, you know. So I can see that a lot of the sightings recently, or a lot of sightings around military bases, are just us testing out the technology that we're trying to harness. And that's kind of what I think has happened. And hopefully we haven't pissed anybody off and some big ship goes over top of New York City and like vaporizes us. That's kind of what I think has happened so far. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. Probably most of it's just new technology, but it's all highly classified. That some of these things that come up, it's like these people that are speaking to this don't have the classification to even be aware that this stuff is happening.
Or like the guy, Rogan's had him on a few times. I forget his name.
I know you're talking about the one that like worked in the lab.
Yeah, but like, and they say that
Everything.
like they compartmentalized it, so he only knew something about like the engines, and
Yeah.
somebody else only knew something about whatever else. So like they wouldn't be able to do it all, put it all together themselves. So because they only know their little part.
There's just
I
like
don't
the
know.
clean. There's like the cleaning guy just mopping the floor all, and he's cleaning every room, so he just puts it all together.
I mean, I could see us like not using that technology until like
Until we have to.
God forbid World War III breaks out. And then I hope we have it. So I hope we can win it quickly and then we can all go back to peace, you know?
Here's a question, right? And maybe this is too deep. If it is, we'll just backpedal. Do you think that would be? Do you think that would be a good thing or a bad thing though? I thought about this the other day as I was going to get a burger, and I was like, you know what? If we had all that technology, right? And I think I said it to you guys too one time. It's kind of like Star Wars, right? In the sense that like the Republic has this like clone army, really powerful military. They wipe out the competition, right? Anybody who has the ability to check them, and now there's nobody else left to put that power in check. And so if they want to oppress the people, i.e., go to the empire, they can. So if our government, let's just say our government had this technology, sure, they win World War III, they wipe out like Iran, China, all the BRIC countries and all that. But then at a certain point, there's nobody to check that power. So they could do whatever the fuck they want to do. So sometimes maybe it's actually good to have a powerful enemy elsewhere in the world.
To
Like
keep
you don't
it in
think
check.
about it. You don't think about it that way. You're like, ah, Chinese and this and that. You're like, well, their attention has to go that way then. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's good to have a little bit of a balance and you never think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends what the weapon is.
Maybe that's
No,
too deep.
no. You're probably right. I mean, like Dan said, we're kind of in conspiracy theories, and I'm trusting the government less every day
They might
that
make
goes
they might
by.
make you get vaccines and no one can
but
say no.
but don't get Seth started. Um, um, I think it depends on the weapon, right? It depends if it's just like
Yeah.
a spaceship and they're able to like, I don't know, target something and blow it up or whatever. But if it's like you can mind control people, then that's way fucking different. I don't know.
Yeah.
And because if not, though, people could always uprise, and 300 million people in the U.S. are gonna be able to take out any tyrannical government. Yes, as long as
Yeah.
they band together. I don't know.
Yeah, because you had said that when we talked about that like thing they made in the '80s that was going all different directions and it was little,
Yeah, they call it
and
like
I
a
was
tic
like,
tac or something.
yeah, something, yeah, and it was like
But
made to take out nukes, and I'm like, okay, that's really good because if China or whatever, if there were nukes, because everyone's talking about nuclear war now, like, yeah, maybe we have something. Then I'm like, but wait a second, like when everyone's gone, like you're like, yeah,
focus
we
turns
won,
on the people.
yeah, like we won the war, but then it's like, okay, like we literally could just continue to take things away as we see and kind of, yeah, could go in a different direction. So I don't know, just a thought.
Well, here's hoping that happens, 300 years down the line. So
Yeah,
we don't have to worry about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll be long dead at that point, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're a little over an hour. So I'll end the recording after this, but do you have and hang on for a little bit, but do you have any final thoughts, any parting wisdom?
I mean, wisdom is a funny word to use. I don't know if I have anything to impart on anyone. I'm just getting through the day, man. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a lot of fun, and you guys have been crushing with the podcast. So keep it up.
Yeah, bro, it was a blast having you here. Thanks for coming. Thanks everybody for listening.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.